Recording is beginning. Okay, so Ellen, let me share my screen. Where is there we go. Okay, Julie, do you see the first slide there?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so let me just introduce ourselves. My name is Steve Huffsmith, and my colleague Julie Carter is co-facilitating, and we are instructional designers on the Armstrong campus. So today we're going to do, this is our Folio boot camp, and it's a 2-hour session, so it'll be long, but it's intended to basically help faculty kind of get started and prepared for the eventuality of if something happened related to a hurricane or some other type of disaster or whatever. I know that many of you are already probably getting online for the fall semester related to getting their courses prepared for because of COVID. And so there's some things in this course that hopefully that you'll learn related that will be able to help you with that. But it's kind of a higher level course. We'll go through a little bit of detail, but feel free to ask questions. And then if there's any questions that might involve a little bit more detail that we might suggest, me doing a one-on-one session, with one of us, so.
Stephen, I'm sorry, before you get going, there's one question, what are they supposed to see? And let me share with you what I see. I see the PowerPoint slides at the top of the screen and then the galley of everyone's pictures at the bottom of the screen.
Right, that should be what you do.
So can you make the slides larger so that when you share your screen and get in Folio, we see only your slides?
Let me see if I can.
Do you see, maybe it's just my screen, do you see across the bottom everyone's little profile pictures?
Yes. Let's see. If I am presenting, I don't know if I have the option. Let me see the layout. Is that? I changed.
Yes, that's a little large. Instead of 2 rows of participants, I only see 1 row of participants across the bottom. Okay, so Tom says he just sees a black screen with his picture in the middle. So how about this, Steve? He may have just joined. Can you stop presenting and then present again?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try that. So for those of you that just joined, if you can, please mute your sound and turn off your video. When you move your mouse to the bottom of the screen, there should be a white toolbar and 3 little icons in the middle. One is a microphone to mute your sound, and one is a little icon of a camera to mute your video.
Okay, let me try the presentation now.
Okay.
What if I do?
So currently I see the grid of everyone's profile pictures. And we've had probably, 9 faculty attend, and then just you.
You can't share dismiss. Well, now I'm not getting the ability to, let's see. Here we go.
Okay, so you're going to present your screen, share your screen now? Okay.
Okay.
So yes, that's better. So now I see a larger slide and just the smaller 2 rows of
Yeah.
participants at the bottom. And that's good. We'll see how
Okay.
it goes once you get in
Okay.
Folio.
Okay. So let's move on to, so here's we've basically divided the presentation into the 2 hours into several sections that we're going to be covering. The first is talking about uploading our Folio course template into your course, your Folio course, then also uploading your syllabus into your Folio course. That will hopefully take about well, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. The next section we're going to be talking about the grade book, creating an assignment, a discussion, and also managing grades. That will take us, hopefully, if we're on schedule, up to about 5 minutes of 2. We'll try and see, see if the people need to take a break, but this is if we continue forward. The next hour is basically creating a random quiz, managing grades, making associations, navigating your Folio course, communicating with your students, creating videos, and then creating and editing content pages, which leaves us about 5 minutes at the end for questions. We'll see how this works. This is, again, it's a packed course, for 2 hours. So we'll do as much as we can in covering the content. Okay. So here we are with the first section. We're going to actually go ahead and start by, and this might be something that you already are familiar with, but for anyone who isn't, we're going to go through the process of starting with uploading the Folio course template to your course. So I'm going to go ahead and change okay. Now, Julie, do you see, do you see the Folio course, the boot camp?
I see the slides.
Okay, then I need to change. Let's see if I can do this. I might have to stop presenting and then PowerPoint. Okay. Do you see that?
So now I see the Google slide file on the first slide. I don't see the browser with the
okay.
Folio yet.
Okay. We're having, let's try this again. I know what I did. Okay. There we go.
Yes. Okay. So now I see the
boot camp.
Boot camp course. Okay.
So this is what we're going to be working in for part of the, and this is an empty shell course that has nothing in it. And this is what you might be working with for your courses, but we're going to go ahead and download the Folio template and then import it into Folio. And we're going to do that by going to the CTE web page. Okay. And you can access this in various ways. You can go to the Georgia Southern homepage and then /CTE. Another one is academics.georgiasouthern.edu/CTE. But once you get to our homepage, the CTE homepage, you'll see an option here for a Folio template.
Steve.
Mhm.
Can I just stop for a minute and just repeat that this is for demonstration purposes only? So we're not expecting you to follow along and complete all the tasks. It's just mainly to watch the demonstration. And if you have questions, you can add them to the chat. Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and click this option here for the Folio template. Okay, it's trying to load. Come on, let me refresh it. There we go. Okay. And on this page, it basically gives a description and also some, some ideas of what the purpose of the Folio template, what it can accomplish and do. The main thing is to really help you get started. Again, this is something you don't have to use, but it really allows for you a good way of starting. It's compliant with federal web accessibility guidelines. It's based on research and best practice recommendations. It does have the Georgia Southern University branding, and it's very easy to edit and adapt. Okay, so I'm going to click this button here, which is to download the template, and it's a zip file. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and select OK, and it's going to download probably to your default folder. For me, it's in my downloads folder. I'm not going to open it. I'm now going to go to my course, inside my course, and on the very top there's the links, the toolbar links. The third option is edit course, and there's a lot of links here that you can use, but what we're going to focus on is this import export copy components. Now, it may not be in the same place for you, depending on the size of your screen and the resolution. It might appear somewhere else, but you want to look for this import export copy components. Okay, and there are several options. The default option is, and we'll talk about this at a later time, but this is for if you've already prepared your course for one term and you want to copy the components, either the entire course or pieces of it, you would use this option. But we're going to go down to the bottom here where it says import components, and because we're going to import the zip file, I'm going to select start, and you get a window that asks you to upload the file. And so I'm going to go ahead and select this. I want to navigate to my downloads folder, and I'm going to look for, it should see Folio template. I have a lot of, here it is, Folio template, and it's a zip file. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to select open, and you can see it's listed here. So the next step is to import all the components, and it's going to go through the process of uploading, importing it into the, and you'll get a message when that's complete. Okay. And if you had, since this is just basically a template with limited content in it, it doesn't take very long. It's usually just a couple minutes. There it is. So the package was imported. So I'm going to go and now select this option, view content, and this will bring me to the, you can see the table of contents here. Where this was previously empty, it now has modules through 16, 1 through 16. It has a course orientation start here module. And so these are all basically, I'll show you very briefly the start here module. It has a lot of pages that you can choose to use or not use depending on your style of teaching. There's a course introduction template page. Basically, it has information here. The content in blue is just some directions to help you to figure out what to possibly do with it. There's an area for course goals, a task list. There's a welcome page. If we go to the next one, you can use this to add, a text-based message with a picture if you want. You can add a video to your, okay. There's a course orientation guide, which you can possibly use. So it's a whole set of questions, of pages that you can use. The ones that follow right here, from campus technology, academic support, student support, these three are really things that you might just want to leave in because it gives information that you don't need to edit. It just has helpful information for your students about what to do if they, in order to, if they have a problem, okay? There's also one for, again, the academic research and information, what to do, and there's with videos and other resources. If we went to a module, again, all of these are identical. They're just listed module 1 through 16. You have an introduction page. Again, it's just a blank page. Again, with text in blue that allows you to, update.
Steve, do you want to show me how to edit those pages?
Yes.
So they can...
Okay. So let's do that. If I scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's this little button called Edit HTML. Okay. And you can delete this content, select it, and there's you could type directly in it. But this is a long process. The easiest process would be to copy and paste content from a Word document, okay? And that's very simple to do. But again, the template provides headers of different, this is a header 1 style, this is header 2. So it provides a lot of good, styling that will make it easier for students to be able to view your course. It's good for accessibility purposes. But say if I had, let me find, I think I have a, if I could find, I know I have a, let's see. If I could find the, is this a syllabus? Okay. Well, say I just wanted to select this content from something that you've typed up. Okay, let me go back to the course. Okay, and I'm going to put the cursor where I want the content, and I'm just going to copy, paste it in, and you're going to get this window that says remove formatting or keep formatting. You're always going to want to select remove formatting because the word the word software adds a lot of things that you don't want to use. And also if you're using Times New Roman or whatever, it will, by removing formatting, it will put the text in line with the Folio template style. Okay, and if I save and close, you can see that everything is in order. If I chose a document that had Times New Roman, you'll see that it would look much different and harder to read, through that. So just remember to choose the option to remove formatting. Very quickly, let me just show, you wanted to show about uploading your 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 syllabus, we do have a syllabus web page in here, again, that you can choose to edit. So you can use this as your syllabus, but you may also just choose to upload your own syllabus document. And that's very easy to do if you choose not to use. And so by doing that, you would go within that module, the course orientation module, you would select new, and you would do upload files. And then basically you're going to search from your computer where, and where there was a syllabus that I had. Oh, desktop. And well, I did have it. Oh, here we go, syllabus. And you can just add it. And what it'll do is it'll put it at the bottom of the page, anything you knew that you add, but you can always change the position by grabbing the dots on the outside and moving it in position where you want it to be. And then you can actually get rid of, if you don't want to use any of these pages, you can choose from the drop down and then choose to delete this. So that's the option there. If you choose to delete something, you're given two options. I would always leave the first one, because if you choose the second one, it permanently deletes everything from the course. This will give you the option of bringing something back. So say if you removed something accidentally, you'll be able to find it at a later date. So that's adding your syllabus to the course. Okay, any questions there before we move on? Okay.
No questions.
Okay, so let's move forward and start talking about the grade book. Okay, and Julie, were we going to do it from this course, or go to the I think it's from this course, right?
Right, or if you haven't set up your managed grades in the gradebook sandbox, then that may be the course to use. Did you set up your managed grades here?
No,
just to show as an example.
Okay.
And while he's getting there, so really when you want to start developing or building your Folio course, the first thing you want to do is look at your syllabus, because you want to look to see what categories of assessments you have, whether it's quizzes, discussions, assignments, projects, essays, and then you want to look and see what the actual assessments are, whether it's quiz 1, quiz 2, quiz 3, assignment 3, and then this is what Stephen's going to show you under the managed grades as an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay, so just to show you how to get there, just as we went in the upper line of links here where edit course before, we're going to go to grades and to the grades option. And then there are 3 different options. If you haven't set up your grade book yet, there's what's called a setup wizard. But if we look to manage grades, you could see how this is set up. We have a main category. It's called actually a grade category of a discussion. Another grade category might be quizzes or exams. Another might be assignments. You might have something called reflections. You might have labs. So something that is a much more generic or overreaching umbrella that will cover all of your assessments for underneath there. So again, say this discussion category, here's a week 1 discussion, and this is called a grade item. And you can see it's indented. It's indented within from underneath the actual discussion category. Okay, the same thing for quizzes. So you might have, this is a course orientation quiz, but you might have a quiz every week or every other week, and you would have quiz 1 through 5 or whatever listed underneath here. Assignments, you might have different named assignments under here. This allows you to organize your grade book, and it makes it organized for your students to see as well, so that things aren't in the grade book strung out in one long line, making it difficult to find. Okay.
So Steve, can you show an example of that by
Okay.
selecting the grade book,
Okay.
the inner grades?
Okay. So okay, so here you could see this is what so here's the discussions category, the quizzes category for this demonstration and assignments. And here is the week 1 discussion underneath again, and that would string out all along however many discussions you have underneath this one category. The same thing for quizzes, the same thing for assignments, or however you decide to list your categories. Okay.
Steve, I'm sorry, can you show them, this is the view of the grade book for the faculty. Can you quickly show them how to view it from what a student sees?
Okay. So again, this is something that you want to try and remember to keep in mind. You can see what a student views. If you click your name up at the upper right, you'll see an option here called View as Student. Okay, and it'll take you to, so I'm going to now go grades, and you're going to see here the same thing, discussion, week 1 discussion, and they'll see there with their points and grade, So this is a really good way. If you didn't use these categories, it would still work. The issue is that they would all be strung out and not organized in a very elegant type of way, making it easier for your students and yourself to follow along. Okay. Now you can see that under quizzes, we did have a quiz, but that quiz 1 isn't showing under here. That's because, let's go back to, well, let's get out of the student view. If I click the name here and I click X out, and let's go under grades, manage grades. Okay. Actually, the course orientation is not listed there, which it should have been because it actually is. So not certain why that isn't showing up in that area. It should be under student view. We'll have to look at that. But another thing to look at is this column called association. This again is a little bit more advanced, but it's helpful. And again, please don't feel like I know we're throwing a lot of information at you. If you're not certain about how this actually works or the benefit of this is that by filling in this association, it means that this grade item is associated with the actual discussion itself. And that means when you grade the discussion, or if the quiz is graded, or if this assignment is graded, it automatically populates into the grade book. And you would see the grades showing up here. If you don't do the association, you'll still be able to grade the assignment or the quiz or whatever, but you'll then have to manually take that grade and then add it into the grade book. So it's basically a step saver if you take the time to do that association, and it's very easy to do. Let me go to, let's see. Let's do an assignment. I'm going to just do I'm going to create a grade item. Okay, so I'm going to do new item. I'm going to select numeric. And this is, I'm just going to call it assignment 2. This is where you actually, it helps by when you select this category, you select assignments, this puts this assignment 2 indented underneath that assignment category. Okay. Here is where you can actually choose to how many points is that assignment 2 going to be worth. Is it 10 points? Is it 100 points? Okay. And I'm going to select save and close. And now you can see this assignment 2 is now indented underneath part of the assignment, but it doesn't have this association. So what I'm going to do is go to where the Dropbox assignments are under assessments, Dropbox. Okay. And these are all the empty template Dropboxes that you can choose to use. You don't have to create your own. You can change the name. So I'm going to go and use this assignment 2. I'm going to select edit folder. Again, this is where you can choose to change the name. And what I'm going to do is, let's see, so here, score out of 100, under grade item, I'm going to select that assignment 2 that I just created, and I'm going to select save and close. And when I do that, it creates this little key icon that tells me that there's that association. And now if I go back to grades, manage grades, now this association box is filled in for this assignment. Okay, and here is the points given for this, so the maximum points. So this is done doing points. I know many faculty use weighted, a weighted system, and when you use points, all you do is just put in the maximum amount of points that are in here that are required that the student can actually obtain. But when you use weighted, everything needs to be add up to 100%. Okay, so that's another, again, this demonstration is using points, but the setup wizard, if you're not familiar with, this is what you would use in actually initially setting up your gradebook. If I select the setup wizard, and I'm going to select start.
Steve, real quick, are you going to set it up in this course or in the Folio bootcamp course?
This is why don't I do it in the Folio bootcamp course?
Okay. And the only question that's popped up is to demonstrate how to automatically drop lowest grades, and I responded that you'll cover that in the gradebook setup.
Right. So let me find the Folio bootcamp. Okay. So under grades, let's go to the setup wizard. I'm going to select start. So here are there are 3 options. The default, again, just goes to points, but again, which we showed just before, but you may choose to choose weighted. And again, everything has to add up to 100%. This formula is a much more complicated procedure. If you're able to figure out a formula, different formula for how you're going to grade things different from either of these 2 options, I don't know of any faculty that have actually used that yet, but that's something that we could actually talk about down the road if you really prefer that, but these are, again, the 2 most common ones. So I'm going to select weighted. Okay, And again, step 2, you have, do you want the calculated final grade to be seen in the grade book? Or do you want to be able to adjust the final grade so that allows you to modify the grade before you actually release them to students? I've heard many faculty typically use this because they want to be able to make changes before the grade is finally released. This option is automatically release final grade. Many faculty choose not to do that. They don't want to release the final grade. They want to wait till everything is complete at the end. I'm going to go continue. Here's where, again, related to the question, grade calculations, you can choose to drop any ungraded item. And so that means anything that the student has not taken an assessment of any kind will not be counted part of their final grade. And many faculty choose to do this. Another option is that you can choose to treat anything ungraded as 0. And this will artificially lower a student's score, and they'll see that. Again, many faculty try to use that as an incentive to say, oh, I need to make sure that I take this test or that I do this in order that I can add to my grade. Okay.
Steve, the question was automatically dropping the lowest grades. And if I remember correctly, if they create, say, the category called quizzes, is that where you choose that option to automatically?
Yes. I think that's where we go.
Drop the lowest grade. Okay, let's keep going.
We'll keep going. Okay. Auto update. Do you want to keep, I think that's typically something that you want to do. Just keep grades updated as the term progresses. I'm going to select continue. This is the default grade scheme. It's set for percentage. We don't have any way of changing this. You can create your own grade scheme for a specific type of grade category or whatever, but most commonly we just leave that as is. We don't really have an option of really changing that. This is managing how many decimal points to view. The default is 2. You can change that to 1 or to 0 if you don't want to use any, but then you'll be subject to the rounding up of grades if you choose to use 0. Continue. Okay. Now this is for students. Everything that you saw previously was based on basically more for instructor view, but here's the points grade. You really want to leave that in place. Weighted grade, especially for that you're using percentages. Grade scheme symbol. This is an option. It basically just puts an icon in the grade book area that's specific to a certain grade scheme. It doesn't really have any bearing on the grade itself. It's just more of a just an icon that really, and it doesn't have a specific legend to it to tell you what that icon actually means. So you can choose to deselect that. The same thing with the grade scheme color. There's no legend to it, but in the grade book it would show up as a good score would be blue, or I think it's either blue or green. Then there's a yellow and a red for if students not doing well. So it's more of a visual cue for being able to look at your grade book like sort of overall. Again, decimal points for students to see. This is the calculation, how many characters to display. Again, the default is 15. I think that's pretty fine to leave as. Again, final grade display. Do you want to display the final grade calculation to the student? Okay. You can choose to deselect that. You can always, display the grades at the end of the semester, particularly if you're going to be making updates or whatever to a grade. So I'm going to select continue. This just gives a summary of what you're doing, and then I'm going to select finish. Okay. So now here is the screen where before you can do this in manage grades, but here you can actually start setting up your grade categories and grade items. And again, it's recommended that you have your syllabus kind of all prepared so that you know, are you going to use discussions or not? Are you going to use, how many discussions, are in the semester? How many tests are you going to have? But here you would do create a grade item. And so I'm going to do assignments. Okay. This is an optional thing, short name. If you had a really long name for something, you could put a short name that would fill in the grade book. A description, not necessary. You can add that. That's more for your own benefit. You can allow students to see that description. This is where assignments, this is where you would add the weight. So what is the percentage of the weight for your assignments going to be, your total assignments? If it's going to be 50%, you want to put that in, okay? Distribution, do you want to manually assign your weight to items in a category? So this means if you're going to have 2 or 3 assignments, and each assignment is going to be worth a different amount, you're going to want to manually assign the weight. But you can choose to distribute the weight evenly across all items so that everything, if you had, say you had 5 assignments, you wanted each of them to be worth 10% of that amount of the 50. So you would just make sure that that would be distributed weight evenly. This is where you get to choose whether you want the highest non-bonus item. Do you want the highest item to be dropped student scores on, or do you want the lowest? So if you score, so you can choose to do, you can choose, I want the lowest assignment to be dropped from that. You can choose to do that.
Steve, I have a question.
Okay.
Does the weight generally pertain to that category or to each individual item within that category?
This is to the category. So this weight applies to the percentage to the category of assignments. Okay. Again, and then this is whether you want to display, most faculty don't use this, but you can choose to do you want to display class average to users? Do you want to display the grade distribution? This is a graphical display. You can choose to add it or not, okay? This, if you choose to do this in another category, you may choose to override certain display items for this particular category. But I'm going to deselect these, and I'm going to select save and close. Okay, so here's my assignments category, and it's showing me that the weight of it is 50%. It's giving me a warning up here. My final calculated grade sums to 50, not 100. Well, eventually when I add in all my other assessments, once you've totaled them to be up to 100, then this warning will disappear. So say if my next category, so I'm going to have exams. Oh. I'm not able to spell today. Okay. Come on. Okay. I'm not going to give a short name. I'm not going to do the weight of this. I'm going to say that the weight of this is going to be 50%. Okay. And then I'm going to distribute them evenly. Now let's try this. Let's do distribute weights manually signed by items in the category. Let's select save and close. Okay. Weight 50. Exam sums 0. Okay. Well, I think because we don't have any exams in there, and also we don't have any assignments. So let's do a grade. Let's go to assignments. I'm going to do a grade item. Numeric. Let's say this is assignment. Assignment 1. Okay. And I'm going to add it to that grade. The assignment might be of 50 total points. Again, you can choose if you want to give bonus points or not. You can add a rubric if you have a rubric. I'm going to select save and close. And if I make assignment 2, item, numeric, assignment 2, category, again, let me put it under assignments. This is also going to be worth a total of 100 out of 100. Okay, save and close. Okay, so you can see now here, this divided up by 50. Okay, so each of these exams, each worth 100 points, but they're worth 50% of the total amount of the weight of 50, but the exams are still not verified. So if I wanted to do item, let's just say midterm exam category, I'm going to put it under exams. And again, the maximum points for that exam is going to be 100. The weight, this one I'm going to say is worth 20%. And the other one, I'm going to make a final exam worth 30%. Item. Do it under exams. Maximum points of 100. And the weight of this is going to be 30% of that. Save and close. Okay. Now, let's see. Now, why isn't that's 50? The total weight of all items in the category got 50 and 50. 20. Okay, actually probably should be, oh, I must have chosen them to be equal. Let's make this change.
Steve, I have a question when you get finished with that.
Let's do 50. I must have chosen that they're going to be equally divided. I thought I did a save and close. Okay, there we go. So now the warning is missing. So I must have chose that the two exams are going to be equally divided amongst the other. So that's how you would create your grade book, manage the grade book thing. So if I go to the enter grades, Okay, here you're going to see the assignments category, assignment 1, assignment 2, exams, midterm exam, final exam. And you can see this is all in red because each of these are demonstration students. None of them have taken, so the red shows that that they're doing very poorly. So it's a cue, a visual cue for looking to see what what a individual student or a group of students are doing. So what was the question, Julie? Is that you can?
Okay, so in copy and say a spring course with gradebook settings, can these settings be changed after in the fall course?
Yes, you can do that. You can make changes because you can go in, and if I go back to manage grades, okay, and as I mentioned, as we showed you before about associating these grades, okay, say if you choose to, you no longer want to use assignment 1 or assignment 2, you can delete these out of the grade book, but you have to do that. Let me actually let me associate it to show that it's not. So let me go to assessments, Dropbox. Here's assignment 1 from the template, edit folder. And if I scroll down, grade item, assignment 1. Okay. And then I'm going to save and close. Oh, you need to put a score in of that. I'm sorry. Score out of 100. Save and close. So now when I go back, grades, manage grades. Okay, so this has the association. Say if all of these were associated, but you say you want to no longer use this, and you want to either change, add a new assignment, or just no longer use that assignment, you could select that and choose the action to delete. Okay, well, it gives you you go to a next screen, but it doesn't let me select that. You actually have to remove that association before you can delete it. So on assignment 2, I can select it because it didn't have the association yet. It'll give you a warning. Okay. And there now assignment 2 is missing. Okay. So you can make these changes, in your grade book. You can go back to your setup wizard and make changes, and you'd want to do this prior to the course beginning, once you've chosen what kind of changes that you want to make. So you can actually very easily do that. I hope that answers that question. Okay, we are actually we're right on time. It's at 1:55.
Right. Okay, so any questions, you're welcome to turn on your mic to ask questions, or you can type them in the chat area. I think I'm going to share my disclaimer. When Stephen and I first learned Folio and the gradebook, I would say we attended just the gradebook webinar, maybe 2 or 3 times,
Oh,
Steve,
yeah.
before we really started feeling comfortable and it all started making sense. So please have patience and please consider reaching out to us as a second set of eyes as you set up your grade book.
And even if all you use Folio for is the grade book, I mean, it really does help students, see how they're progressing. In this coming semester, you're going to want to put up your syllabus, maybe your communication policy. If you're going to be choosing to add an assignment for students to upload, because depending on what happens, with school, if we end up having to go back to fully online, all these things will help out, in providing an easier easier support for your students. But again, your students will appreciate just being able to follow along, how they're progressing and through the course.
Okay, one question, Steve.
Mhm.
If 6 assignments and drop the lowest, does the grade book automatically make all equal to 20%, even though you started with 6? And that's assuming that you check to drop the lowest.
Yeah. What I believe it does, and I think we could probably check on this just to be certain, that it'll drop the lowest and then automatically recalculate the remaining, so that the remaining assessments, so that they have a higher value. But Julie, maybe we can write that down just as I believe that's how it would work, because
Okay.
if it just dropped the lowest one as a 0, and you allowed that to happen, I think it would really penalize a student if it didn't give them extra value towards the remaining assessments. So, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. That's how it would work. Okay.
Okay, and I don't see any other questions.
Okay. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. So we pretty much covered these items. Creating, well, we did a discussion. Well, we didn't really create an assignment Dropbox, did we? Again, let's do that very quickly. If you use the template, you already have these pre-made assignments. And again, we're just listing them as generic assignment 1 and assignment 2, but you can change the name to whatever you want. So this might be essay 1, whatever you choose to name it. You can choose if it's an individual or a group assignment, how many submissions are allowed, or if it's just one file, what the score is, and again, here's the grade item that it's associated with it. If you're going to change the name of this to essays or to whatever, you're probably going to want to edit the grade item name as well, so that it matches. You don't want to say assignment 1, essay 1. You're going to want to go in. So if I select save, we go to grades, you can edit. Otherwise, it would get confusing. So if I click here, edit, I would want to change this to essay 1. And in likelihood, if all of these are going to be essays, you may choose to change this grade category to essays as opposed to assignments. Okay, just so that it's all kind of makes sense and helps to organize it, a little bit better. But again, these Dropbox assignments are there for you to use. If you're not using any, you can choose to, if you only use 1 or 2 of these assignments, you can delete these. If you choose to, I'm going to delete these, more actions, delete. It's going to give you, are you sure you want to do that? And then you end up with just what's left over. Okay. The same thing for discussions. Discussions are from the communications tool, discussions. And one of the things that the template does, it creates this questions for your professor. A lot of faculty like to use this as a means of students asking questions that other students might benefit from when you provide an answer. If it's something more personal nature, then you'll want them to email you. But if it's more of just a generic question about the course, that's something you may want to point them to. We have these module discussion areas. You can use there's one for student instructions. Here's a discussion already prepared. Again, if you select that and edit topic, you can choose to change the name to something more specific, to what you want it to be. And there are options here. Do you want to make it an anonymous? Very likely that would be, you wouldn't want to do that. Some faculty like to use this option. Users must start a thread before they can read and reply to other threads. So that's a common one they'd like to use. So that means students have to at least think of their own, what they're going to post initially before they can look at someone else's post, okay? So that's, again, restrictions basically shows, and this would be found under assignments too, a start date. You may not want to have a start date. You want to maybe leave it open. But if you have a start date, if you choose an end date, that means that the fact that the student will no longer be able to post any longer in that forum. You'd always want to select display in calendar, because that'll put it in the calendar for students to follow. This option, hide from users, if you're in the process of developing questions, you can choose that, but you have to remember to unhide it, okay? And if I select save and close, if I go back just to the calendar, you should be able to see, because it said the 30th. Upcoming events, here it is. So here's the calendar along the left right-hand side. It says this is the due date. It was at 6:03. I didn't change. And then it says availability ends. If they click it, it ends on August 6th. Okay. And it starts on June 30th. So just something to think about. Okay. So we did discussions, and let's move on to creating, oops, I went too far. Let's go back.
Steve, I just wanted to mention we had a couple of faculty just join us. So if you have your sound muted, if you'd like to mute your video or turn your video off, if you move your mouse pointer to the bottom of the screen, a white toolbar will appear, and there should be three icons in the middle of the white toolbar. There's one for a microphone that you can select.
Okay. So let's look at what we're going to cover next. Basically, a random creating quizzes, especially we already covered managing grades by association, but a random quiz. So let's go to the quiz function. Okay. And I think we did this in the quiz setup, didn't we? In the quiz. Let's find the
Folio gradebook and quizzes, of course, yes.
Let me look for that. I have way too many. Here we go. Okay. So under assessments, you'll see this option for quizzes. Okay. And here are some already quizzes that are already made. But from a template, it's going to be empty. You're not going to have these quizzes. So that's the one thing that you need to prepare on your own, unless you've copied over from another semester or whatever, and you're going to use the same quizzes. You're just going to have to update when they're available, the availability or whatever. But say you're starting from scratch, you can create a new quiz. Okay, and I'm just going to call this demo quiz. Okay. It says the quiz is empty. Again, you can choose to add questions. This is something new that Folio or D2L, the company that has added. And this can be, it might be helpful to use at first, but eventually you can choose to let go of it. I'm just going to select add new question. Okay, and so here are the different options. I'm going to say true and false. Okay, so here, and you select the answer. You can choose to give it how many points this is going to be a value, and then you select save. Okay. Again, you can choose a new section, a new quiz. You've got the most common, true, false, multiple choice, multi-select, a written response. So there's a lot of different matching, ordering. So there's a lot of different types of questions that you can ask. Let's just say the question, okay, and I'm going to say 10, 100, 50, 1,000, and I'm going to select that as the correct answer. You can choose here to randomize the multiple choice, the answers, okay, in there for the student, each student who takes it. I'm going to select save. Okay, so here are the two basically two ways of doing it. Okay, now instead of typing all these in individually, there is, and this is a little bit more an advanced topic, but it's something that we can go over. We actually can do. There's a software product called Respondus, which is different than Respondus, the lockdown browser, and Respondus Monitor, but it allows you to take a Word document, and as long as it's formatted correctly, you can just upload all your questions directly from a Word document into Folio. It makes it so much easier than to do an individual thing. So that's something, if you have a question about, we could forward you some information, but it also might be helpful. We could go ahead and schedule a webinar specifically on Respondus. Okay. Another thing is if you want to have a random quiz, a quiz such as with maybe if you have a pool of questions, say you have 100 questions and you want 50 questions pulled randomly from, so let's say each student gets a different exam, okay, or different quiz. There's a way of doing it in Folio, okay, and it is, you don't do it by typing in directly into the quiz. There's, let me save and close. Okay, there's something called a question library, and if you click that, and basically you would add, and again, because of 100 questions, you would pretty much likely want to use Respondus to upload, even if you had 25 questions and you wanted students to get 5 of them. But you upload your questions into the question library, okay? And let's go to, and you do that by would make a new section, and I'm going to just call this demo. Oops. And here's another. You can choose to shuffle questions in the section or not, but this isn't, you need to have this in place so that when you use the Respondus, it has a folder to load up your questions in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is now is go to, let's say done editing questions, and say if I go to demo quiz and add edit questions, I'm going to say import this time and browse question library. So in this quiz, here I have a bunch of questions already in place. So I'm going to say select all these questions, select add. So it's put 8 questions in place there. Okay, and do more actions. You can choose to set the points, how many points each question would be worth. I'm going to say 2. So if there's any change, if you had a different thing, and let's go back to the settings for the demo quiz. Okay. So here are, actually this pulled all the questions from there. In order to actually shuffle to get let me go to add edit questions. I actually want to create a section. Okay. This is what actually, I apologize because I'm going to select save. And again, from this section, okay, so basically you would add the questions to the section. Let's get rid of these questions. Okay. 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 This is interesting. It should be, this is different than, huh. Okay. Well, they've changed this. I'm going to have to go back and,
Okay, I can include
yeah,
the link to the
yeah.
instructions with the follow-up email.
That's actually changed from what it was before, because you should be able to import the questions into the section and then choose how many questions that you want, the students to see. So that's actually a different, okay. Why
So
don't we,
I'll make a note
yeah,
to send that.
okay. We'll have to, let's talk about communication with students. Oh no, navigating the Folio course. I want to make sure what time we have. We still have time, so okay. The navigation of the Folio course. Let's go back. to inside. One of the things that you might find helpful in the syllabus course orientation. Their course orientation guide, there on one of these pages there is a video that helps students. Where is that? Was that
Stephen, you may check the Folio Bootcamp course because I'm not sure what version of the template is in the gradebook sample course.
Okay. Let's go to the, okay, we'll go back to the, okay, content. It's not in the first one, is it? Huh. It should be in one of these first. There's actually a video that actually explains course schedule. Wouldn't be there. It must have been, there it is. Okay, under course structure. I don't know why it's under there, but anyway, there's a video here that explains how to navigate through Folio for your students. And that can be, you can change, you could take this video and put it on a different page if you prefer. But for navigation, again, for Folio, again, the main tool area is on the upper portion here. You've got content, which takes you to the table of contents along the side. You've got the grades, edit course, again, which takes you to the import export, assessments, which gives you Dropbox quizzes. You can create rubrics here if you prefer, and you can attach a rubric to a specific assignment or discussion. Communication. This actually is one of the things. You can have a class list that will actually tell you when the student last accessed the course, so that can be helpful. You'll also have the discussion forums. There's the email. This is a groups area, so if you want to use groups, I know the provost had sent something out recently about creating groups in courses. If you have large numbers of enrollment and of students. Resources, there's not. We're actually working on creating a library of information here. Zoom online, again, this is if you want to create sessions for students to meet with you, whether it be for an in-session meeting, just one-on-one or with a group of students. You can record your sessions and then have students be able to access it later. Again, here's for a calendar creation. You can add new events, okay, creating an event that may not be available in such, say, for an assignment or a quiz or whatever. You can add your own. And under more, the most important thing, I think, which we're going to talk about shortly, is the My Media, which allows you to create videos and audio recordings. You can use it for creating screencast videos with your PowerPoint. You can, so there's a lot of, and I'll briefly go over, how to do that in a little bit. So that's the main navigation, through Folio. Under grades, you can also, there's two different types of grade views that you can see. This is a spreadsheet view where you can actually, no, I'm sorry, this is the standard view. The spreadsheet view allows you to actually enter grades in if you choose to modify a grade that a student has. If a student, you want to make a change. The spreadsheet view just gives you more of a kind of an overview of a look, okay, to see what students are doing. So you have two different views. You have this export. You can choose to export the grade book, okay, and choose what's exported. You can choose everything to be exported by user, last name, first name, email, points grade, grade scheme. So a lot of things. And if you download it as a CSV file, you can always re-upload it back into Folio. So say if something happened and you made a change to your gradebook and there was a mistake, you could always reload up the old gradebook back into Folio. Okay. Student view, we already talked about how to access student view through there. Okay. Profile and accounts. Let me get out of here. So up here by your name, you have a profile link, and here you can choose to add a picture. You can choose to give a nickname. If you want to add any of your social media networks there, this is, you'd want, put in your email address, your Georgia Southern address. That's probably the most common things to add. Again, notifications. Again, so you can choose to have your notifications sent. Here I have it to my Georgia Southern account. You can choose a different email account. Summary of activity. I have it set for never, so it sends an activity. But here you can choose, and you can actually have students choose also when something is changed or whatever, they can choose to receive an email about something. If content has been updated, if a new post has been made in a forum, if a Dropbox assignment feedback has been updated. So this is helpful for students to, if a grade item has been released or updated, a new news item. So by adding these, okay, and making sure that they have their email account, they can choose to get these notifications. So I think that's a good thing to try and recommend to students, for them to be notified. And then finally, there's account settings, and this is more, you probably are not necessarily going to change this. You can change your password. You could change the font size.
The discussions tab they may use, Stephen.
Okay, under discussions. So here, again, so this might be, you can choose to the different kind of display settings. It's set for a reading view. You can choose a default view, I mean a grid view. So it shows the posting items in a grid format. This is something that I usually try to recommend both for you as faculty and maybe even for students to unselect or make sure that this is deselected, because including an original post and a reply, if this is selected, you're gonna have every single reply added to another post, and that just makes everything just appears long, and you have to scroll to find the original, what the actual post is. So I think this is really helpful, to make sure that this is deselected. You can subscribe to a new thread, Okay, if something, so that if something is added, you'll be notified. Grid view settings, but either threaded or unthreaded. And so these are probably the most common things that you'd want to use under discussions. Email options. We're going to be talking about here you can put an email signature in if you want to add that, so that every time that you send an email, you'll have that put in place, similar to what if you have for your Georgia Southern email. So these are the kind of tools that can be very helpful, for navigating in Folio. The next thing is communicating with students. Okay, so I think the easiest and the most common way is to use the news item. These news items right here are part of the Folio template, and they're added in. So if you don't use the Folio template, these will not be in place. But here is one for the questions for the professor. You can actually click that and it'll go directly if student wants to ask a question. Okay.
Stephen, can you go back to that third message there where it says welcome, Stephen, the third news item?
Down here. Okay.
Yeah, so if you have the template loaded, see where it says welcome, Stephen? For each student that enters your course, it'll have their name there. That's set up to default to the actual user that signs into Folio. It somewhat personalizes the course by including their name there.
Actually, here's a link directly to that video, Navigating Your Course Online. So to the one that we just showed. So that's actually a very helpful thing. So you actually have that link. It's not buried down to be found on the other page. So that's actually helpful. But you can actually go ahead and create your own. If you go to the news tool, you can create a new news item and welcome to week 1. And then you can type in okay, and you can choose to add a picture, okay, that from your computer you want it placed in here. So you can add videos, okay, and we're going to be talking about that very soon using Kaltura, but you can add a YouTube video. Again, you can choose when you want this to start. So you can choose to set this up prior to the course or prior to the announcement to be seen and when. Okay. Do you want to remove it at a certain date or just want to leave it in place? Okay. You can add attachments. Release conditions is something that they won't see a certain announcement unless they do something. And this might be maybe they have to take the quiz at the beginning of the course, and in order to make sure that they've taken that. So you can choose to do that. You click publish. Here's the link, but now if I go to Folio Bootcamp, there's my announcement. So that's a common way that students will actually see this when they first enter into the class. Calendar, again, we talked about the calendar already, and you can choose to create an event. Okay, so this might be reminder of quiz at end of week. So you can choose to add that in place. You might want to add a little bit more content. when it's going to be, what time, when is that going to be available, from when until when. But if you want it to be available all the time, I'm going to select create. And I guess I didn't put a date in there, so it's not going to. Okay. But anyway, that you can create your own using the calendar. And there it is. So it did show up, reminder quiz at end of the week. Okay. So, and another thing that we want to talk about is activating your course. Okay. Now, as faculty, when you go to your Georgia Southern portal, let me log in. Okay. You'll have an option for Folio that will allow you to activate your course. As a staff member, I don't have that option, but you can also activate it from within Folio. And again, from that same edit course option. Okay, and this time we go to course offering. Okay, and here, this checkbox here, the course is active. You can make it not active by deselecting it and select save. That means you can access it, but students won't be able to get into the course. So usually that is your responsibility to make sure that the course is active. Some faculty activate it on the day the course begins. Some faculty like to give students an early start. They might activate it earlier, so you may choose to activate it earlier than you choose, okay? Than the date of the course starting. Okay, so that's the we're talking about communicating with students. I'm going to select cancel there. Any questions there? The next item we're going to talk about is videos, using videos. And I think this is really an important factor. Many of you who might have taken the Teaching Online course, we talk about creating instructor presence, and it's good to try and have something in the course of you, even if it's just an introductory video of you talking about yourself, and that allows students to begin that relationship with you as in an online course in particular. And it's been made very easy for you to add these videos through a software called Kaltura. And we're not going to do a whole in-depth thing about Kaltura. We actually have a webinar on it. But if you have questions about this and you want to know how to, I'm very, I'd be very glad to help out with getting you started on that. But to get to the Kaltura, under this More option link, you select My Media. Okay, and these are all videos that I've created. When you first do something and start, you're not going to, this is going to be, your library of videos is going to be empty. You may choose to just do an audio presentation. So you might just do like a podcast or something. You can do that, okay? But the very first time when you log in, okay, I'm going to select Add New. And this option here, Kaltura Personal Capture, I'm going to select. And because I've used Kaltura and I've downloaded the software already, the tool area is going to load up for me automatically, and it's right there. I'm going to move it out of the way. the very first time you use it for each computer, so say if you have one at home and one at work, you need to download the software, whether it's a Windows or a Mac computer. And you only need to do that once for each computer that you use. And once you download it and you go through and select that under Media, Kaltura Personal Capture, okay, you'll get the tool area right here. And it's a very, very simple process. You have 3 icons. There's a camera for a webcam. If you just want to capture the screen, so if you have a PowerPoint or you want to display a website and talk about it with students, you would just do the screen. Again, if you want to just do an audio recording for a podcast, you can select that. But you can choose all of these, and what you're going to end up having is a picture of, say, you talking with maybe the PowerPoint or the web screen, the website that you're sharing. And again, all you do is click the red button. It starts it up. You get a 3-point count, and this is not unusual. Usually you'll start the countdown. It says it failed to start recording. This happens when because I'm using, Google Meet and all these other things. It sometimes, but it should automatically start up, okay? So very easy to use. And let's go back to content. I'll say, okay. And I'm going to go back to this news item. I'm going to select edit. And here, I'm going to select this little icon up at the top. There's this icon that says insert stuff. I'm going to select add Kaltura media. And it's going to open up my library of videos. Okay, it should open up. So I am going to select this one. Okay, select embed. Come on, there we go. It's running a little slowly. And I'm going to select insert. And I'm going to select update. So here now you have, if I go back to the page, I'm going to have my welcome, maybe a little bit of text with my video. This is just a very short show you can create messages, add to your, okay. So you could add it to a news item. You can add it to a lecture page or an introduction. Say if you're going to use this, you could add a welcome video. You have the same thing. You edit your HTML, and you have the same thing, insert stuff. You want to make sure you put your icon where you want. I'm going to delete this, where you want the video to appear. And you do the same thing. Oh, I don't want embed code. I want add Kaltura media. Let's just do this one. And you could add it to, students have access to this, so you can have students record videos and have that as part of an assignment. Save and close. They could add it to a discussion forum area. So there's a lot of uses for And it's a very basic course, basic way of adding video. It also, there's ways of adding a more advanced feature. You can add quiz questions to a video. So really very useful tool. Okay. And any questions about that before we move on?
Steve, one question is, to add those quiz questions, do you add them after you create the video, or do you add them as you create the video?
You add them after you create the video. So you create the video, and if I go back to my media, there's a little thing that you can create your videos within Kaltura. You may also choose to add, if you have a video that you've created with your cell phone, or with maybe if you have a video camera or whatever, you can upload a video and then use that within Folio, and you can add quiz questions to that as well. If I do this, let me select this video, and under Actions, I'm going to launch Editor. We talk a little bit more about this in advance, and we have the video thing. But here is this, once it loads up, basically you would listen to your video. Hey, Candace. And say I want to put the quiz question. I don't want to cut it there. Forget that. Okay. So say I want to put the quiz question there. This little cube up here allows you to, and this is where you start. You just go through the process. There's a whole, that gives you the process of adding a welcome page, scoring, how the experience, whether you want students to allow skip questions. But here's where you add a question, and you have multiple choice, true, false. You have an open-ended question, and what's called the reflection point, which students don't respond, but it just puts an idea, that you can add, just to say, think about what's coming up or watch for a certain thing that's going to happen in the next section of the video. But you can do that. You do that after the quiz is created. Okay.
Okay, and that can be for a video that you created using Kaltura, or a video that you upload that you created, say, yes, on your cell phone or something.
Yes.
The other question, if you could just talk through, say I had a video and I added 5 questions, and I wanted that score of the students to go to the grade book. Is that possible?
It automatically goes when you, let's go to, I'm going to get out of here. Let's go to content. Let's see if it will. When you, let's go to, say, a module 2, and you're going to put it on some kind of a lecture page. You have to do it, edit HTML. This is the only way that a quiz question will work. I'm going to just get rid of all this stuff. You select that insert stuff, add Kaltura media. There's another Kaltura option up here. This one won't work. You need to use this option here for quiz questions to work. The option at the bottom, and you select that. And when it creates a quiz, Kaltura will actually add a copy of the original video and add quiz after it. So you still have that the original video without, here it is right here, downloading Kaltura video. You select embed, and once it loads up, insert, and it's taking its time. There it goes. Save and close. Okay, now what will happen, it won't show with me because I'm in here as an instructor. You have to take this as a student, and as soon as a student takes this quiz, inside your grade book, a column will pop up in the grade book automatically with a grade of what that student did. Okay. Now, if you did multiple choice true false questions and they got all of them correct, it'll show a score of 100%. If you have a short answer question where they type in some text, it will still show 100%. It won't. It's not able to be smart enough to grade. You can find out what their answer is. You can go back to under more, my media, and you can see the exact answers that they did. If I click this quiz, and if someone had answered that under actions, there's this analytics option. So it's a little bit of a roundabout way. I wish it worked so that it populated the actual answers. But you get some information about, how many times, how many views there were. It's not showing up here, but this is where you would actually, if a student took it, here's video performance over time, how player impressions led to. So it's not showing up here because no students took it. Here's view engagement per viewer. There's no data, but it will show up for each student who took it, and it'll tell you what response they did, including their short answer. So you can go in there, and then if they were way off the ball with that answer, choose to go back to the grade book and update their grade from 100% to however you want to grade them. But this does not show until someone actually takes that quiz.
Okay, so if I want to see the student responses, then I go back into Kaltura where you were just at, so I can see per student.
Yes.
Their responses. Okay, how about this question? What if I just want to look and see which students viewed the video and there were no questions, just to view the video?
You could still look under analytics. Where is that? I went out of it. Okay.
Okay.
More. So you go under my media. So you could do whether it's a quiz or whether it's just a video. And again, from this actions drop down, there's this analytics option. And you could see, again, under view and view engagement per user, since again, no one has watched this video, nothing is there, but you will have a list of students who watched it by, and
Okay.
how long they viewed it, how many times they viewed it. Okay.
So just to recap, for this to work with the quizzes, you have to embed a video in a content page.
Yes.
In order for the student to access it and answer the questions as they watch the video. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
Okay.
Because some faculty have tried. There's a way of doing it here under this module. Say if I did add existing activities. If you try to use this, add Kaltura media, it will show up and it'll be, but the quiz functions won't work.
Okay.
It has to be on a web page, okay,
Okay.
for that to work. Okay.
Good. Okay.
Uh,
Any other questions related to videos or?
Again, we have a whole workshop based on that, and we talk about Kaltura, Screencast-O-Matic, which might be something you're familiar with, and also Screencastify, which is a tool that can, for the Chrome browser only, where you can actually do some videos as well. But then you still need to bring it into Folio in order to make that, in order to add it to your course.
Okay, so um, Kaltura is available to faculty and students have Kaltura. They can create their own videos using
Yes.
Kaltura, right?
Yes.
And I'm not sure if you already covered this, but can you just review, like if I don't want my videos seen outside of my course, or whether it's private or published, what's
Right.
the difference between the two?
Well, let's go, my media. Once you add a video to a course, it will show up as published. Okay. If it has not been added to a course, it will show up as private. This does not mean that it's not being published does not mean it's available to outside users. It isn't. It's only available to those who have access to your course. So it's protected behind the Folio network, and also it's housed on a cloud server for Kaltura, which also has a protection. So there's no way that anyone outside of your course can actually view that, can view your video. Okay, but again, the difference between is private and published only has to do with here it says it tells me that this was put in the bootcamp course. This one is private, it has never been, and I'm still the owner of the course. Okay, so you are still the owner of this course, even if it's published. It just means that you've added it into the course itself. Okay.
Okay.
The last thing, we only have 5 minutes. It's create and edit content pages.
And you did that at the beginning,
You
but
did?
you
Okay.
can review that again since we've been in here for 2 hours.
Okay, I know. It seems like, okay, so easy, one way of doing, if you have, if you're using the Folio template, and say here's a lecture page and you want to add a second lecture page, you want to add more, okay, under new, you can create a new file, and I'm going to browse, check the browse, and I check course offering files, and under course template pages, these are all the template pages. Here's a new lecture page. I'm going to select that, add, and what I have to do though is give it a new name, and you could change it. I'm just going to call it lecture 2 part 2, just until, because you have to rename it. Otherwise, if you don't, you'll start overwriting the content that you already have. So you can add a new page, and by doing this, it keeps all the formatting that's related to your course. You could add a new page, even if whether you're using a lecture, whether you're using the template or not. Again, to module 2, go new, create a file, and you just don't browse a template. I'm just going to call this lecture 2 part 3. Okay, and it's there for you to use, but content will not when you edit it, and you can type in whatever you want, or you can copy and paste whatever you want into here, but it's not going to keep the formatting, and it's not going to have the Georgia Southern branding, which you see up here. And so it's useful to use the template and to add pages that way. Okay. And again, editing content, if you do, we did that before. If you add something in here and you copy and paste in, I thought I had a
One quick question, Steve.
okay, yep.
If I download the template to my course, and I change my mind and I still want to copy some course components, say for my spring course, will it override the template, or will just add my components from my spring course to my fall course?
It should just add to the content to your spring.
Okay, so I'll have the new modules I copy from my spring course, plus I'll have the 16 template modules.
Here we go. Okay. Gettysburg Address. This is in Times New Roman. Let me just show. So I'm going to copy. So say if you've been working in Word or whatever word processor that you use, and go back to the course, and I'm going to copy and paste it in. This is that remove formatting option, and it keeps it. Okay. Now, if I don't use that remove formatting, let's say keep formatting, okay, you could see that it keeps the Times New Roman, but when I save and close, you can see that, to me, this is this style of font. It's a sans serif font, and the size of it is much easier to read than what you have here. So that's to make sure that, make sure that when you use the template, to just select remove formatting. Okay. And I think that pretty much covers it, from what we've got. So is there any other questions?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all. So it's 3 o'clock, and we will send a follow-up email with a copy of the recording of this session and the comments. I'll go through the comments and share the links that I shared. And if you have any other questions, you can just contact either one of us or the CTE email address.
Okay, I'm going to stop.
Thanks so much.
Okay.